The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Mia Chen stood before the assembled representatives of 47 species. Her dark eyes swept across the room, taking in the towering Draknari warriors, the crystalline Vorathians, and the ancient Kelthori who had ruled the stars for millennia. They all stared at her with varying degrees of contempt. "We ask again for peace," Mia said, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. "Humanity wishes only to coexist. We have abided by every treaty, followed every regulation, and paid every tribute demanded of us." Council Overseer Zarthok, a massive Draknari with scales like obsidian, laughed, a sound like grinding stones. "Your species speaks of peace while building weapons. Our intelligence reports show military installations on every human colony." "Defensive installations," Mia corrected quietly. "We have never fired first." "Because you are weak," hissed Shirella, the Kelthori representative, her multiple eyes gleaming with disdain. "Your species has no claws, no natural armor, no psionic abilities. You are soft creatures who should be grateful we allow you to exist at all." Mia closed her eyes briefly, remembering the words her partner Max had told her before she left Earth. "Tell them, Mia. Tell them why we keep asking nicely. Tell them what happens if they don't listen." She had laughed then there in their small apartment overlooking the reconstruction zones. Max always had a dark sense of humor about humanity's place in the galaxy. But now, standing before these proud predatory species, she understood what he meant. "Please," Mia said once more, "don't make us defend ourselves. You won't like what we become." The chamber erupted in laughter. 3 months later, the Draknari warfleet arrived at Proxima Colony with conquest on their minds. Max stood on the command deck of the UHSF Relentless, watching the alien vessels approach. Around him, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. No shouting, no panic. Just the practiced movements of people who knew exactly what they were about to do. "Sir, they're charging weapons," reported Lieutenant Zhao. "Have they responded to our hails?" Max asked, though he already knew the answer. "No, sir, just like the other colonies they've hit." Max nodded slowly. The Draknari had struck 3 human settlements in the past month, killing over 2 million people. The Galactic Council had done nothing. They had, in fact, seemed to encourage it, a way to teach humanity its place. "Very well," Max said quietly. "Release Protocol Omega, all ships, weapons free." What happened next would be analyzed by military historians for centuries. The Draknari had been warriors for 50,000 years. They had conquered hundreds of worlds, destroyed dozens of species, and never known defeat. Their scales could withstand plasma fire, their reflexes were lightning fast, and their ships were powered by quantum cores that humanity had only begun to understand. But the Draknari had never fought humans who were done asking nicely. The human fleet didn't maneuver like other species. They didn't follow the traditional rules of engagement that had governed galactic warfare for millennia. Instead, they did something the Draknari found incomprehensible. They adapted. Human ships broke apart mid-battle, revealing smaller vessels that swarmed like angry insects. When Draknari shields proved too strong, humans rammed their ships directly into them, crews evacuating at the last second, using the explosions to create breaches. When the enemy adapted to that, humans used debris fields as weapons, calculating trajectories that should have been impossible. "They fight like madmen," roared the Draknari fleet commander before a precisely targeted kinetic strike destroyed his flagship. But Max knew better. Humans weren't fighting like madmen. They were fighting like a species that had spent 200,000 years learning to survive on a death world, where everything wanted to kill them. They were fighting like creatures who had turned persistence hunting into an art form, who had looked at nature's perfect predators and decided to become something worse. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Draknari warfleet was gone. Mia received the news while she was being escorted out of council chambers. They had been expelling humanity from the galactic community, citing dangerous tendencies. She checked her tablet and stopped walking. Her guards noticed. "What is it, human?" Mia looked up at them with eyes that suddenly seemed much older. "You should have listened. We kept telling you. We kept asking nicely." "One battle means nothing," Zarthok declared when the full council reconvened in emergency session. "We will crush this human rebellion with our combined forces." "No," Mia said softly. "You won't. Over the next 6 months, 17 species declared war on humanity. 17 species learned the terrible truth that Mia had tried to warn them about. Humans didn't have claws, but they built weapons that could crack planets. They didn't have natural armor, so they made armor that could withstand stars. They didn't have psionic powers, but they had something far more dangerous. They had imagination, creativity, and the ability to look at any problem and find 50 different solutions. More importantly, humans had something else they remembered. Every slight, every insult, every casualty was recorded, calculated, and factored into their strategy. And once humanity stopped asking nicely, once they embraced the violent survivors they had always been underneath the diplomatic smiles, they became something the galaxy had never seen before. Max stood beside Mia when they returned to Earth after the Treaty of Reconciliation was signed. The Galactic Council had sued for peace after losing half their territory. The proud warrior species now spoke of humans in whispered tones, sharing warnings that would become legend. "Do you think they finally understand?" Mia asked, watching the sunset over the rebuilt cities. Max took her hand. "They understand now why we kept saying please. They understand that humans have spent millions of years learning to be civilized, learning to be kind, learning to control the monsters we used to be." He paused. "And they understand what happens when they make us remember how to be monsters again." Across the galaxy, the lesson had been learned. Humanity kept saying please not because they were weak, but because they were giving everyone else a chance to avoid finding out just how strong they really were. The universe learned too late, but at least now finally they understood.